Here we go. Now, as always, ask as many questions as you want, whenever you want. Hopefully, we'll keep them on target. There's my cell phone number, 917-375-7741. And there's my 2 email addresses. You can call, but remember, the first time you call, you have to leave a message, because it won't come through if you don't leave a message. Okay. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about 4 things: high-lift brunettes, color concentrates, how to create tones, and warm neutrals. I really think warm neutrals are super important. But let's get going. Before we get going, thank you everyone for being here. Let's start with high-lift brunettes. High-lift brunettes were actually invented many, many years ago, but I don't think anybody understood what they really, what their capabilities were, and even the people who designed them did not know how to use them properly. It was fascinating. Nevertheless, here we go. High-lift brunettes have a limited use, but they're very good for coloring darker salt and pepper hair. Now remember that, darker salt and pepper hair. They're also designed for coarser textured hair. So yes, they work fine on medium textured, but be careful on fine textured, because they might be a little bit too strong for fine textured hair, and you could end up with much darker result than you think. But nevertheless, that's how they were designed, and that's how they are designed. Now, they're very best when used on salt and pepper hair when the dark hair is between black and medium brown, and you want either 2 or 3 levels of lightening. Now, that's important. The dark hair is between black and medium brown. So in other words, they're not really designed for hair that is light brown or lighter. And you want to have either 2 or 3 levels of lightening. And the way that you determine that is by whether you mix them with either 30 or 40 volume developer. Now, the warmth created by lightening dark hair can be neutralized by adding either blue-green concentrate or blue concentrate. Remember, the difference between them is that blue-green concentrate gives you more of an ash result, whereas blue concentrate by itself gives you more of a smoky result. Now, for hair that is light brown or lighter, switch to the super glaze formulas, because when you have light brown or lighter hair, super glaze tends to lighten the hair 1 level, but also deposits color at whatever level that you want. So that's really the better choice when the hair is light brown or lighter. Now here, what I've done is I've shown you a few things. The first swatch is a virgin swatch, and it's 50% white and 50% medium brown. I know it looks a little light here, but that's just the way that it is. This second swatch shows the effect of lightening this virgin hair, but with no color added to it whatsoever. So this shows you what happens, and you end up with something that's pretty orangey appearance, brassy looking. And it's not the type of effect that generally you want. But now what I've done is I've mixed 3 parts XL Super and 1 part, and this one I used 1N. Now this looks a little bit lighter than you would normally expect it, because remember, on a 3-to-1 ratio, This 1N goes up to 2, 3, 4N, but that's a little bit deeper than 4N. And the reason is because 1N, remember, is much darker and has much more dye in it than either level 2 or level 3. So consequently, this does not look as much as like a level 4 color. Instead, it looks more like a level 3, more of a medium brown. In this one, where you've mixed 2N, 3 parts XL Super and 1 part 2N, you can see that this should normally be about a 5N, but once again, it looks a little bit deeper. It looks more like a light brown. And that's because, once again, it has a heavier dye load, and consequently, you end up with color that's a little bit darker looking. In this one, where you're using 3N, now you're down to more of a normal dye load. And so this one should jump up to about a 4, 5, 6. And lo and behold, it does look like a dark blonde color, maybe a little bit darker, like a lightest brown, but nevertheless, it is closer to a dark blonde. And in this last case here, where you have a 4N, it goes all the way up, and it brings the dark color, the medium brown color, all the way up closer to a level 6, 7, and it colors that white hair at the same time. So now you see the effect that you have. Hey, Luke, welcome. And what I used in this case was I used 40 volume developer. But remember that if you only want to lighten 3 levels, not 4, then you only use 30 volume developer. And that would be if you have more of a medium textured hair. So you don't need the oomph or the power that you have behind 40 volume. Okay. Now I want to talk about color concentrates. I think color concentrates are wonderful. Unfortunately, I think most of them in the marketplace are garbage. And then I'll explain everything and what I mean by that. First of all, concentrates should be 100% oxidative, and they should have the ability to be added to any brand of color, not just the manufacturer who makes them. And the reason for that is because, remember, we all use the same dyes worldwide. Doesn't matter where you are in the entire world, we still use the same dyes. We might use different mixtures of them, but we use the same dyes. And the reason that I say should be 100% oxidative, because if your concentrate comes out colored, it means it has in it probably either demi-permanent color or direct dyes, in which case they rinse out of the hair. So why would you want to add something to your color that you're going to lose in just a couple of days? So consequently, you should have 100% oxidative color. Next, whoops, let me go back. I went too far. Oops, I went the wrong way. Okay, here we go. Now, neutral concentrates creates double ends. So that means you don't need to have double ends in your line. You can use one single tube of neutral concentrate and create any level of double ends that you want. And this gives you, of course, better gray coverage or longer lasting. Now, double gold concentrate creates both double G colors and adds warmth to all neutral colors. Now, and it softens both red orange and red violet colors. Green concentrate is added to neutral to create soft ash colors, and it's added to gold colors to create um, uh, beige, cool beige. Red concentrate can be added to either neutral gold, red orange, or red violet, and it creates customized red shades. Blue concentrate is added to neutral colors to create smoky blondes and smoky brunettes. Remember that if you're using blue concentrate, it's so strong that you only use 1/2 of the amount that the chart normally says. Here's the chart that goes with it. And if you're using a 60-gram color formula, here's the amount of concentrate, the maximum amount that you should add. At level 10, you only add 2 grams. Now this changes your level 10 color, lightest blonde, to double N lightest blonde. So now just the addition of 2 grams gives you that. With level 8 light blonde, you can add up to 4 grams. 6 grams for dark blonde, and then of course 8, 10, 15, depending upon whether you're using lightest brown, which is also known as darkest blonde, level 4, light brown, or level 3, medium brown. Notice here, level 5, this is actually called the transition level. It's where you can either call this level 5, lightest brown or darkest blonde. I don't care, it makes no difference. But that's what level 5 actually is. Okay. Now, if you use blue concentrate plus red concentrate, it gives you violet concentrate. If you want to make blue-green concentrate, you use 2 parts green plus 1 part blue, and that gives you blue-green concentrate. Remember, blue-green is how you create true ash colors if you're working with neutrals, but violet concentrate gives you can be added to any shade of color that you want to give you a more intense version of violet. It can also be diluted with clear all the way down to where it's almost invisible, it's super light. Now remember, when color concentrates are added to a color formula, the final result appears to be slightly deeper due to the increase of dye concentration because no extra developer is added. So when you don't add extra developer, you increase the dye concentration. However, if you want to prevent that slightly deeper appearance, then you decrease the original formula by the amount of concentrate that's being added and use the amount of developer that's equal to the formula plus the concentrate. Now, I know that sounded a little strange, but what happens here is that you're just creating a darker color, but you're not creating the double N that you would normally create. It's just slightly deeper, okay? Now remember that all concentrates can be used with 10 volume developer for fashion tone results. That means that if you use full strength red concentrate and 10 volume developer, you get an incredibly intense red color. But if you dilute it with clear and still use it with 10 volume, then you get more of a fashion result. And remember that it's always equal amounts of developer and the total concentrate, including the clear. Now we're going to talk about creating tones. And the tones that I want to talk about are Auburn and Strawberry, Eggplant and Plum. And you notice that I kept these together because they have something in common, and that's red. Eggplant and Plum have something together, and that's the generally red-violet colors. Ash shades, I want to talk about ash separately because there's so many types of ash. Silver and platinum are very simple, and generally you can only see silver and platinum on hair that's been bleached. Cream and beige, the reason that cream and beige are together is because they're very similar colors in the way that you achieve them. Tobacco and brunette colors I put together because tobacco is a form of brunette. And then the electric reds. So here, let's just go on from here. Auburn colors always contain brown. Now the brown can be either natural or artificial. In other words, if it's your natural hair color is a brown color and it has very little or no white hair mixed with it, it's not salt and pepper, then you end up with a very soft appearing brown color. And the way that you do it is by applying generally deposit only colors to that natural hair color. It can also be artificial if you're working on white hair, and there, in which case you're adding either neutral or gold to the formula. Now, golden brown is generally a better choice to soften strong red shades. And I'll explain that in a minute. But strawberry shades are always blondes. So you don't have a strawberry brown. Instead, what you have is you have a light or lightest auburn brown. That's, in other words, it either has a neutral or a gold in it. Golden blonde is a better choice to add to red shades. Now, let me go back up here for a second. Golden brown is a better choice to soften strong red shades. And the reason that I said golden brown is better to soften red shades is because when you add neutral brown to red orange shades, a slight chemical switch happens because of the couplers that create neutral brown colors. And what you end up with is red orange shades that look more red violet. Excuse me. Now let me go to eggplant and plum because they're generally darker shades, and generally they're a combination of brown with red violet. And once again, the brown can be either natural or artificial. If it's natural brown, then you simply you put a deposit only red violet color on top of it. But if you're working on white hair, then you use brown, and it can be either neutral or it can be gold. And the reason for that is because if you mix a neutral brown with red orange, you end up with a slightly more violet appearance. But if you're using red violet to begin with, then you end up with a true beautiful natural looking color. Brown, and usually you end up the hair color that you're working on is medium to darkest brown. Okay. Now, ash, this is fascinating because ash for naturally pigmented hair and ash for white hair are created very different. Now, if you're putting ash color on naturally pigmented hair, then you're going to use blue, blue violet, or green, but it's going to be diluted down a little bit, and it's going to be it's going to most likely be deposit only because you don't want to lighten the natural pigment. There are times when you do, but if you choose not to, then you're going to use deposit only demi-permanent blue, blue violet, or green. Now, ash for white hair is generally neutral, plus either blue or blue violet or green, depending upon the type of ash that you're creating. But warm ash is also called tobacco, and it's made by mixing neutral plus blue violet. I know that in the old days I said don't do it, but then I discovered a lot of people were doing it and loving it because what they were creating was a warm ash color, also called tobacco. Now, this chart explains how you take neutral and make either soft ash, regular ash, or smoky ash. And the difference between all three of them is with soft ash, you're adding just green concentrate. But with ash, you're adding both green and blue concentrate to create blue-green. If you're using smoky, if you want smoky ash, then you're using just blue concentrate. Once again, here's the different concentrates. And remember that in this case, if you add 4 grams of green plus 2 grams of blue, that means you're adding a total of 6 grams of concentrate. Remember, for green, it's the same amount that you would add of 6 grams of plain green, but over here, notice that what's happened is you've cut the blue in half because it's so incredibly strong, and you only use half the amount of blue concentrate that you normally would. Now, for those of you that want this concentrate chart, it's available and I have it, and I'll send it to anyone that it wants. To any of you that want it, just send me an email and I'll get it to you. Now, silver and platinum colors can only be achieved on palest yellow hair, but not everyone can have the lightest platinum or lightest silver color. And the reason is because generally hair is lightened to palest yellow, never to the color white. If you lighten hair to white, that means you've lightened it too far, and you need that pale yellow protein of the hair in order to get the final result that you want of either silver or platinum. Now, silver and platinum toners are always blue or blue violet. But using a toner on natural white hair does not guarantee that you're going to get a platinum or toner result. It depends upon the skin tone and ethnic origin. Remember that the darker your skin tone, the more yellow that you have in the hair when you've lightened all the color out of it. That's the color of the protein that holds the hair strand together. So some people that have very dark skin or darker skin tones cannot be lightened to enough to give you a platinum or a silver result. Remember that there's something about platinum and silver. If you go back to the color series from last year, the 2022 series that's up on the Worldwide Hair Colorists website, you can see all of the I think it's either 9 or 10 webinars that I held last year, and there's actual pictures that show you platinum or silver results. Now, cream colors are always blondes. Remember that. Cream colors are always blondes. If you have something that's a light brown or darker, then what you end up creating is a warm neutral, not a cream color. But beige colors can be anywhere from light brown, lighter all the way to lightest brown. That's right. So beige colors can be anywhere from light brown to lightest blonde, whereas cream colors are always blondes. Now, generally, cream colors are a combination of gold and a very small amount of red orange. Now, that means when I say a very small amount, I'm talking only 1 or 2 or 3 grams, depending upon how dark the gold color is. Warm beige colors are created by mixing a combination of gold and blue violet. That's warm beige. Cool beige are a combination of gold and green. So now what you see is you have both warm and cool beige. They both start out with gold color, but they're mixed by adding either blue violet or green to the color. And once again, if you're using green concentrate, then you're using the amount that's recommended. If you're using blue violet, it can be up to 1/4 of the formula. Tobacco colors are anywhere from light brown to lightest blonde. But remember, they're also known as warm ash colors. And the reason is the way that you create them for white hair is by mixing neutral plus blue violet. Generally, the formula is a 3-to-1 ratio, but you can use less if you want more of a neutral result with less of a tobacco result. You just simply use less blue violet. But if you're doing tobacco color on pigmented hair, in other words, hair that's already blonde or brown, then you use blue violet plus, whoops, let me go back once again. You use blue violet plus you use deposit only clear, and then you use the appropriate amount of developer. Remember that electric reds must be applied to white or bleached hair. Start with pure pigment. You start with pure pigment at level 2, but then you add level 10, you add clear to it to lighten it up. So if you're using all of the pure pigments that are concentrates are all level 2 color, but you also have level 2 RO and level 2 RV. You can use either one of those also. You can lighten them by using plain clear, but the clear can be either XL cream, XL super, or clear, which is deposit only clear or liquid clear. But you do not add gold or neutral. Let me back up once again. You don't add gold or neutral. And the reason that you don't add gold or neutral is because if you add gold or neutral, you not only lighten the electric red, but you soften it so it's no longer electric. Brunettes. New brunette colors are always brown, and they can be either neutral, warm, or cool. Brunettes for white hair always start with either neutral or gold, because if you're using neutral, then you can make any of the ash shades that you want. If you're using gold, then you can add a small amount of either red orange or red violet to it to create warmer brunettes. Warm brunette for white hair is created with golden brown plus red orange or neutral plus gold. That's warm Brunette. If you're using neutral and it's on white hair, remember that you're adding a gold shade to the neutral so it can be up to 1/4 of the formula. If you want to make a warm brunette using a golden brown, then you add a very small amount of red orange to it. Now, remember that cool brunettes for white hair are created using neutral brown with a very small amount of red violet to give you a cool brown result. But you can also create chocolate browns by or warm brunettes using either red orange or red violet by either by themselves if they're on natural brown color and you want to warm it up just a little bit, or by using on white hair, using an appropriate brown color with a small amount of red orange or red violet. Remember, chocolate browns are created by mixing up to 6 or 7 grams of red orange or red violet into the brown shade. However, if you're making just simply warm browns, then you add only 3 grams or less. Warm neutrals have a special a place for me because I like using them a lot. I don't tell my clients when I was working in the salon, I never told my client that I was making a warmer neutral because they would object immediately. Everybody thinks they want ash, but they don't always. So any neutral color with a small amount of warmth adding, that's what a neutral is. If you're using just gold color, then you can add up to 1/4 of the formula. In other words, if I'm using 4N, I could add 4G to it up to 1/4 of the formula, a 3-to-1 ratio. If I'm using red orange, I'm only mixing 3 or 4 grams and no extra developer. If I'm using red violet, once again, 3 or 4 grams, but no extra developer. I don't recommend you use red concentrate because red concentrate is too strong, even at very, very small amounts. Oh, what happened? Oh, somehow I added a blank slide there. Guess what? As quick as this webinar was, we've already come to an end. Just remember, if you want to purchase this book, it's available in the US. Go to tomdispenza.com. If you go outside the US, you have to go to amazon.com. It's the same price, no matter where you go for it. Team, hold on a second here. Susan had a remark here. Thoughts on color extend shampoos. Okay, this is fascinating. Susan, in the old days, I thought about, I used to use color shampoos. They were the ones created by Lee. I forgot what the name was, but I used to use them. But then when I started working with color and created my own color brand, what I did was I got away from using them because I realized that color extend shampoos generally have direct dyes in them and they only last a short period of time. That's why I switched over and I started using permanent colors, even though it was a smaller amount. No, they weren't fanciful. They were the ones that were created by God, what were they called? I can't remember what the name of them were, but they weren't fanciful. And fanciful, by the way, were mixed with deposit only. Lorna, yes, it will all be replayed. It'll be up on YouTube. It usually takes about 48 hours to get it up there, but along with the other 60 videos that are up there, 60 plus videos, and you'll be able to view it anytime that you want, no charge, and as often as you want. Okay, team, that's it. So once again, thank you for teaming for tuning in, and have an amazing summer. I'm not going to do any more webinars for a while because I'm going to take a break, and I think I'm going to go away this summer for a change. Talk to you all later, but I will let everyone know when we start up again. Thank you and bye.